Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, H0219, and thank you for joining me today on your NXT review for June 24th, 2020. It was a non-exciting real part of NXT on Wednesday night. It felt uneventful, as you can tell. Last week, it's clear that we're getting some main roster parts integrated into NXT, which I don't like. And we saw that NXT beat AEW in the rings, which unexciting. Why? I'll tell you about in a bit. And can Vince McMahon please leave NXT alone? That's what I want. With that being said, we have a bunch to go over today on the review. We had Cameron Grimes versus Damian Priest. We had the triple threat, obviously, for the North American Championship between Keith Lee, Johnny Gargano, and Finn Balor. We had the women in action, 2 women's matches as well. Much to go over. With that, let's get into the review. Thank you for joining me. Hope you're all being safe. And with that, let's get started. So, the show started off, like I said, well, another thing I wanted to mention was we can see that the COVID virus is hitting WWE still a bunch. We had more over the last few days, more cases, and hope everyone's been getting better. And as you can tell, also the commentary for NXT is suffering. We can see that with Mauro Ronaldo and Beth Phoenix, they're sounding less and less excited, which I don't like. Hopefully that changes soon, but we'll have to see. So the show started off with footage of Cameron Grimes looking up. He messed up Damian Priest because they showed Cameron Grimes leaving the scene of Damian Priest's car, and he told certain cameraman to go check on him. And as we saw, Damian Priest was lying next to his car with the door open. So, I mean, clearly they're focusing on Damian Priest, whether it's an injury angle, as we saw in a bit. So we go from that to Cameron Grimes versus Damian Priest. Cameron Grimes, he came out saying that Damian Priest is messed up, saying that he'll have to take a forfeit. So then Damian Priest all of a sudden came out, and we saw him get held back by numerous referees. His ribs and his back got taped up. Nonetheless, Damian Priest went on, and they started the match. Was okay. Obviously, the story was Priest's ribs and his back stemming from injuries from his match against Finn Balor at TakeOver in Your House. That was obvious. So, Priest obviously injured. Grimes focusing on the ribs most of the match. At the end of the match, Grimes hit the cave-in on the outside to Priest. Priest tried to fight back as well. And then all of a sudden they got into the ring. And then Grimes hit another cave-in. I mean, Priest pretty much still injured. For the win, 1, 2, 3. Grimes gets a win over Priest. What does this mean for Priest and Grimes? I'm not sure. We'll just have to see. Priest, he's getting lost in the shuffle. Grimes, he's kind of flowing around. He's potentially, I would say, for a contender for the North American Championship, or I'm not sure because most of the top talent in NXT are tied up right now. But good win for Grimes. So after that, we saw a segment. Robert Stone tried to recruit Rhea Ripley again outside. It looked like outside of Full Sail in the parking lot, in the backstage or back area around the dumpster, and then after Rhea declined again, she again threw Robert Stone in the trash in the dumpster, and Aaliyah came out of nowhere and confronted Ripley and said, "Well, since your NXT career went in the trash, you don't have to throw my manager in the trash." So that's what happened. She slapped Rhea, which I don't get why, and then Rhea shook it off and said, "Well, I'll see you in the ring later." So we got that. We got Rhea Ripley versus Aaliyah. Aaliyah had a point there because ever since WrestleMania, Rhea Ripley had all this momentum going into WrestleMania. She beat Shayna Baszler. She beat Bianca Belair. Clearly, or not. She defended against Bianca, and then she went to WrestleMania. They tried to build her up, and then she just got beat up by Charlotte Flair, the android, whoever want to call her. That's what happened, and ever since then, the momentum just came down like totally, and Rhea just her momentum just flocked up from her momentum all the way up, going down. That's just what happened. So we got that, and then after that, another demonstration by Timothy Thatcher. Obviously, so last week it was about arm bars and it was about Fujiwara armbar. Sorry, got a notification on my computer. Trying to get rid of that. There we go. So after that, Thatcher went from talking about half Boston Crab, talking about that, giving demonstrations to some NXT hopefuls, developmental talent, and that was good for Timmy Thatcher. He's good. He's very good in the ring. The problem is his personality. The problem is his charisma. I'm not sure if this will be a stable him and his recruits. I'm not sure about that, but I like Thatcher. It's the same with Joey Janela, and well, not really the same with Joey Janela and AEW. I both like them. They're both really good. Excuse me, but they're just not really used properly in their direction. So it is what it is. So after that, we had Santos Escobar. Apparently, they're now calling their stable with him, Wild, and Mendoza. Hello del Fantasma. I like their entrance, obviously. With Wild and Mendoza right behind them, looking like badass backup. I just like that entrance. It's starting to grow on me, I guess. And then, so it was Santos Escobar versus Jake Atlas. Jake Atlas, of course, he was known to be the supporter of Drake Maverick throughout the Cruiserweight Classic, Cruiserweight Tournament. So this kind of revenge, I guess, Atlas for Maverick, especially for the attack last week. So as you can see with the offense for Santos Escobar, it's more of a methodical offense, more take your time, instead of Phantasma when he was more high flying and more energetic. But we can see that the offense of Escobar is sort of taking like an extra stride in a way, picking spots basically. So we get into the match. It was a standing moonsault by Alice for 2 counts. There was a moonsault, top rope moonsault from Alice to Wild and Mendoza on the outside, and that was a cool spot. So he took them out, and then later we saw what was a 1%er, or former Dirty Deeds, by Alice for 2 count. I like his offense. He's starting to mature a bit in his repertoire per se. And then there was a Phantom Driver by Escobar for the win. I mean, I like Atlas. He's improving a little bit. He's still pretty green in the ring. And with his personality, he's kind of bland. But, I mean, does what I need to do. It got Escobar a win. The question is, who would be next in line for Escobar? I mean, I imagine they're still setting up for a rematch between him and Maverick, but we'll see. Because I really wish, well, obviously with the accusations towards Jordan Devlin, he and the restrictions, he can't be back for a while, but I mean, we'll see how it goes for the rest of the cruiserweight title picture. So we go from that to another segment of the Undisputed Era therapy. I mean, this was pretty much a recollection of what happened last few weeks. Roger Strong, pretty much the same. Kyle O'Reilly said they basically made a breakthrough, and Roger Strong said that he was basically ready to face his fears. So they took him out once he figured out that O'Reilly was the therapist. Then they were like all happy, and then Roger Strong was all confident, and he got shoved in his trunk, or the hood got slammed on him in his trunk, and he was basically feeling good and like, hey, he conquered his fears. And then they told him that he was going to face Dexter Lumis tonight. So we got that match made, and Roddy, he had his face like, nah, I'm not really feeling it, but yeah, I'll do it. So after that, we go from that to an interview of Initiator. Kind of got cut off, excuse me, while during the interview of them and Malcolm Bivens. They basically said how they went out last week to observe the tag team title match, but Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch couldn't mind their own business and attacked them, and they were obviously not happy about that. And while one of the members of Initiator were talking, they kind of got cut off, which is strange, but whatever. So the tag team division is in pieces, I would say. They're just not there. They're kind of weak. So it's whatever. Afterwards, they cut a nice promo vignette of the main event. They were talking about Balor. They were talking about Gargano talking about Elite. They had certain pieces, footage from Mick Foley and others trying to hype up the main event. Gargano was talking about legacy. Balor was talking about being what he has done on the main roster and since becoming back to NXT, talking about how he hasn't won the North American Championship yet. So there was that good promo, good vignette. So afterwards, we go from that to the first of two women's matches on the show tonight. You go from Case. Next was Kacy Catanzaro and Kayden Carter versus Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. This was okay. Obviously stemming from the last couple weeks. With Kai and Gonzalez, obviously they're pushing Kai and Gonzalez, which I love Dakota Kai. She's my favorite in NXT. And Kacy Catanzaro and Kayden Carter, they have been not short of direction, basically. And I mean, short match. Kai made Kacy tap out with that submission that she made Carter tap out with last week. So I mean, and then she basically called out Io Shirai. And actually, later in the show, was confirmed that next week will be a fatal four-way number one contenders match between Candice LeRae, Dakota Kai, Mia Yim, and Tegan Nox. And they did a promo for that, which was okay, but I mean, Dakota Kai is really the only one that's being booked prominently, lately of the four. So I would be surprised if she doesn't win that match next week. But nice to hear. So next, going from that tag team match, we go to Karrion Kross versus Bronson Reed. This was a good match for what was hard hitting. Bronson Reed, this was probably his best match on the main roster, or excuse me, NXT so far. So it was back and forth, a lot of strikes. Bronson Reed, he got a bunch of offense in on Karrion Kross, and Kross took it. He basically just asked for more. It looked like he didn't phase him at all. So at the end of the match, Kross hit the Doomsday Sayu suplex and locked on the Kross jacket for the win. Well, he didn't get it all the way because Bronson Reed's such a big guy. But still got in, and Bronson Reed tapped for the win. I mean, Kross, every time you get to see that entrance is like a treat because it's just so captivating, that entrance. But nonetheless, it was good for Kross to get another win, a notable win over a name in NXT. I want to see him get more wins like this under his belt before he can truly challenge for the NXT Championship. Like they were going to, but they nixed plans. So then after that was a short interview of Adam Cole. Mackenzie Mitchell was talking about how Adam Cole, how is he going to fare against who came out on top in the triple threat, and Cole said he didn't care. Basically said it was a stupid question. So there was that. So then, like I said, NXT was just uneventful on Wednesday. Didn't really feel like NXT. So we cut from that to Rhea Ripley versus Aaliyah. This was short match, gimmicky match. Aaliyah, she's making some strides in the ring. She has not been that noble dropper that we known her to be. I mean, she's still not winning at much though. But I mean, Rhea Ripley, she's been pretty irrelevant in NXT for a while. So I mean, this was way of getting her win. The thing I didn't like about this match was the finish, basically. Rhea had Aaliyah in her vintage submission hold where she ties up the legs of her opponent. And then Robert Stone, who was in Aaliyah's corner, threw his shoe at Rhea Ripley. And Rhea Ripley, she was dominating. She had Aaliyah in that submission hold. She wasn't going anywhere, but like the idiot heel syndrome or idiot babyface syndrome is Rhea Ripley. She got distracted, let up the hold. She chased after Robert Stone. Aaliyah tried to roll her up, didn't work. Then she hit the riptide on Aaliyah for the win. Kind of ridiculous. Rhea Ripley, she has fallen so high. She was probably the most popular and best thing in NXT. As soon as she beat Shayna Baszler, and then she just gradually fell. Sad to see, but it is what it is. So we cut from that to Dexter Lumis versus Roderick Strong. This was, I mean, we've seen these two wrestle before, and they had a really good match prior, but just the main roster isms, the influence on NXT. Dexter Lumis, he won by countout. When was the last time we saw a countout victory in, well, Mia Yim and Candice LeRae? That's what I remember, the double countout. But when did we see a countout victory last next? Last I saw it, really, I can remember, is Keith Lee and Dijakovic. That was the double countout. There was probably another one before it, but still, I don't get it. And then after match, Dexter Lumis, he chased off Bobby Fish, who was at ringside as well. I like Dexter Lumis' character, but I just don't get some of these things that are happening on NXT. That's the thing. So then afterwards, Robert Stone and Aaliyah had William Regal on Skype or Zoom, basically, on an iPad, and they were talking about how they needed a rematch for Rhea Ripley. So then William Regal made a match Next week, Rhea Ripley versus Aaliyah and Robert Stone. A handicap match. That's just mind-boggling. I'm sorry if I didn't say anything, but that's just mind-boggling for that to happen on NXT. I don't get that. And then Robert Stone said, okay, if we win, Rhea joins the Robert Stone brand. So then Rhea came in and basically said, deal. So then, and see you next week. So we got that match. Is it NXT like? I'm not sure, but it is what it is. I sound like Max Holloway so many times saying it is what it is, but yeah. Sorry about that. So then we get to the main event. Gargano versus Keith Lee versus Finn Balor. This was fun. Uh, besides Kross versus Reed, this was probably the funnest part of the night. Triple threat for the North American Championship. Getting to the match was a slingshot spear by Gargano on Balor for a 2 count. Nice spear. Final cut from Balor to Gargano. Then his sling blade. And Keith Lee, obviously one of the most athletic big men we have seen in a while, did a slingshot, basically like a corkscrew type of dive from the apron to the ring on both Gargano and Balor, wiping them both out. Almost to the end of the match. One final beat from Gargano to Balor for a 2 count. Then a tope suicida from Gargano to Lee, and then tried on the other side of the ring to Balor, but he was caught, and they went for the 1916 DT again, like when Balor turned heel that night last year. But Lee broke it up, and then so then they get back in the ring, and then Keith Lee hit the Big Bang Catastrophe on Gargano. Was about to pin him, but Balor hit the coup de grace on Gargano. Was aiming for both Lee and Gargano, but Lee rolled out of the way. Gargano rolled out of the ring, and then Keith Lee hit the Big Bang Catastrophe again, but on Finn Balor for the win. Right outcome, in my opinion. And then Adam Cole came out and both basically held up their titles as NXT went off the air. Obviously, NXT is not what it used to be anymore. We're seeing strange things out of NXT right now. But what's the right outcome for the triple threat? So in 2 weeks, winner take all, Keith Lee versus Adam Cole. I imagine Keith Lee wins. And then eventually we'll get Keith Lee versus Karrion Kross. Right outcome, in my opinion. You could have done Balor as well, but I won't complain. So that was the review, everyone. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I apologize for yesterday's podcast. I sounded a little nervous. I sounded not as talkative. I'm still getting used to it. being in front of the camera, basically. But hopefully, this was better today. NXT was okay, so kind of wrapped my mind. Wasn't as excited about NXT, but it is what it is. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll be back on Monday with a bunch of sports topics in the world, going over those, and hopefully you guys will enjoy that too. But I'm Joe21 Love. Thank you for joining me on this podcast today. If you're new, like and subscribe on the video, please. It would help me out greatly as I'm starting this new adventure on YouTube. So, with that, thank you all and see you Monday.